Something just snapped in the economy. Yes, it's true. Hey, everybody, it's Bull Boom, Bear Bust. It's May 22nd, 2022. It's Sunday. Happy Sunday to everybody. Back with another dose of economic reality today. Yes, something just snapped in the economy. Now, if you've been on this channel, you knew it all along and you knew what was happening. But what's just happened recently and what has snapped is the realization that consumers are pulling back on spending. And when you have about 70% of the economy dependent on consumer spending, that's going to lead to big, big trouble. So, yes, we've been outlining here how consumer spending is dropping as the cost of living continues to outpace incomes. And a lot of the nest egg that people saved up over the past couple years with the shutdowns and all the forgiveness programs and the rescue programs, that money is gone. And now savings is on the drop for US consumers. Of course, a lot of people just watching the 6 o'clock news didn't know this was happening until just recently. Now that we've got these earnings coming out, even companies like Target and Walmart reporting big disappointments in their earnings, to say the least. Well, let's get into some more news today that further outlines where we're headed, where we're at, and how we should get ready for what's ahead of us. And speaking of earnings, we have more earnings coming out here very soon. So keep an eye on the markets here, but more horrors await. It's even being described this way by Bloomberg, and $550 billion retail earnings meltdown. And we get to see a chart right here with Walmart in the white, Target in the blue, the S&P 500 index in the purple. We look to the far right and we see the big drop in these stocks. And the scary part is a lot of people consider these stocks safe havens during a recession. And as people prepared for the oncoming recession, a lot of people took shelter in these stocks only to get hammered. And a lot of those people not putting two and two together that the economy is mostly based on consumer spending, the cost of living continues to skyrocket, and incomes nowhere near matching the cost of living. So, of course, this was bound to happen. It's just now that people are finally noticing it because it's coming through in the earnings and in the stock market. So even if you're not someone that invests in the stock market, keep in mind the stock market, when it drops like this, is a big wake-up call for a lot of people, and it could cause people to panic even more, and they're going to see their portfolios dropping, their 401ks going down, their retirement nest eggs dwindling, and that could cause even more panic and more people to pull back on spending. And guess what? In this type of economy where people have to spend in order for economic growth to continue, that's going to equal more pain down the road. Now, next week we have big announcements from big retail giants like Costco, Best Buy, Dollar General, and we're going to see how those earnings come out and how they're going to affect the markets. Speaking of dwindling savings, recent article, CNBC, Americans now have an average of $9,000 less in savings than they did last year. Wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. The unemployment rate's near record lows. How are people losing their savings? Well, it's pretty simple. The cost of living, the cost of rents, home prices skyrocketing, therefore property taxes skyrocketing, the cost of fuel, energy, transportation skyrocketing. We don't manufacture things here in the US like we should, so of course we have to import more. Higher energy costs and transport costs equals higher import costs. And this is going to lead people to further go into debt and see their savings continue to evaporate. So even if there is some sort of market correction in the future in the housing market, for example, are people going to have enough savings to even have a down payment? And are their credit scores going to be so banged up because of late payments and enormous levels of debt, they won't be able to even afford qualifying for a mortgage? So this is economic doom, financial doom for a lot of people. I hope you and I are not in that boat when the time comes, when we do see buying opportunities. And that's the purpose of this channel, to try to keep us ahead of the curve and continue to prepare for what's ahead of us. Now, even Bank of America is out there warning that the stagflation scenario that's happening right now in America is going to further tank the stock market. And that's not all as far as banks warning us. Citi Analysis just warned market may crash another 33%, wiping out 5 years of gains. So folks, a real good time now to be holding cash. We know that the dollar's been devalued tremendously, but in a time of falling markets, cash is king nonetheless. And the economic engineers are out there vowing to continue to fight inflation with raising rates. And now we see what's going to start happening on June 1st. It's going to be quantitative tightening 2.0, where the economic engineers are going to step up their runoff of their balance sheet. And they're going to kick it up a notch. And of course, we're going to see how the economy reacts, how the markets react to what's ahead of us. Recent article, Powell says that the Fed will not hesitate to keep raising rates until inflation comes down. Now, what does he mean by that? Does he mean the rate of inflation? That means prices are still going up, just not as fast? Or does he mean they're going to keep raising rates until something breaks, until prices collapse, not just in the stock market, but in housing and in other areas of the economy? And it's always very interesting to try to dissect some of the words that are used here by these economic engineers to try to figure out what they mean, what they're talking about, and what their intentions are with this economy. Now, what do we need to do to continue to prepare for this? Well, let's talk about keep stacking. Something I say at the end of just about every video. What do we mean by keep stacking? Well, that means keep preparing. And this phrase could be different for everyone. So for me, here's what stacking means. Stacking for me means to continue to accumulate assets that I think are going to become more valuable in the future. Now, I know some people are doubting this, but silver and precious metals are still going to play a part in the future monetary system after this current system fails, and it's already failing. We're seeing it right in front of our eyes, so it's only a matter of time. And yes, they could come in with new rescue programs, new stimulus checks, new loan forgiveness programs, mortgage forbearance, cancellation of rents. Yes, they could do all that to try to delay the inevitable, but the system, the economic system that we're currently in right now, this monetary structure is failing. So eventually we're going to have to go back to sound money. Now there's a big fork in the road ahead. The banks, the big bankers out there, they want us to stay in digital assets. But there's going to be a bigger push for hard assets and a system of money that's backed by something tangible, something physical, instead of just fiat digits on a screen. So there's a big battle happening right now between good and evil, between truth and deception, and we're going to see how this plays out. So I'm continuing to stack in real money, hoping that someday is going to be here very soon, and I think it's going to be here someday. The question is how soon. Also, just for survival, keep stacking canned goods, keep stacking assets that you know you're going to need to survive, because these prices could continue to go out of control. We see what happens and what's happening with the farms. The record drought here out west affecting so many of the farms. California, the #1 producer of agriculture in the U.S., the #1 state. And this is going to continue to cause havoc on our food prices and our cost of living. So that's another area where I look at as far as stacking. But again, it's different for everybody. Please let me know what you're doing down below. A lot of people are just trying to go into more cash and wait for a better buying opportunity. Scary times right now, folks. So please let me know down below so we can talk about it, and like to hear your comments. What are you stacking? What are you doing to prepare? Until then, keep stacking. Stay well, stay safe. Bye now.